Anyway, right, can I start again? Sorry, what happened, I picked up the microphone from Frank and 8 things happened at once. Start again. M0JCF, it's Mark in Sidcup, or the Black Fen side of Sidcup, on a TS-700 running about 10 watts. I've got a linear amplifier that the power supply seems to be going on and off. So can I just pass around to Dave, G6NRH, and just say, am I transmitting or am I talking to myself? Over to you briefly, Dave.
M0JCF Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel. No, you're not talking to yourself, mate. You're coming over 5 and 9 down in sunny Welling. Well, you're not 50 miles away, let's be honest. You're just, I mean, I would think it must have hit your house. But lovely signal as always. And yeah, nice that it's your first contact, M0NPB. I didn't quite catch the name because I suppose you didn't really throw it. If you could come back with your name on your next over, would be appreciated so I can stick it in the log. Everybody's all fine, well, except for Chris. You've gone down to about 5 and 6, Chris. Really, I don't know what's happened there, mate. Usually you're quite strong. I think it's your old propagation raising its ugly head. Yeah, what else was I going to say? Haven't done a lot radio this week, but I have been on to the CW Academy trying to sort out malts, etc. And it's becoming a comedy of errors when it comes to that. It's just trying to get onto Zoom and all the rest of it, and getting the times all mixed up because they use Pacific daylight time and all the rest of it, and then sort of doing some other bits and pieces. So it's all been full starts. I've got, I think it's, who is it now? I think it's Gary supposed to be getting in touch with me to try and sort out bits and pieces. And hopefully so I can start in earnest next Tuesday, because they do it Tuesday and Friday. But the course doesn't really start until the 10th of this month. Excuse me. And so we'll see how we go. But yeah, and as for Friday, well, I don't know if you can have a QS on your own, because I was on the air for about nearly 20 minutes calling out and nobody came back. Not a sausage. So after 20 minutes I called it a day and went QRT, but it's a first for me. But anyway, so hopefully, I know people are busy, most of them are doing other things, and so they couldn't get round to getting on the radio, but I thought there's not that much telly, surely, unless we're all watching the Paralympics. But hey-ho, so it is live. With that, I'll quickly pass it over to you, Chris. M0KPU, Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel in the CRAY Valley Radio Society, 2 metre net. Over to you, mate.
Break.
Go on, break.
Yeah, Golf 0 Kilo Papa Zulu, listening.
Oh, brilliant. All right, Dave, I'll put you down in the log. That just happens that you happen to be second. Because I made a cock up with some of the names, and I put down Chris's name twice, so you'll be after Chris. So if that's okay, just before M0 NPB, who's just been a member of the club for 5 years, but it's the first time he's actually had a QSO. So anyway, so I'll put you down. You want to click over, mate, and we'll see how we go, because it's nearly your time anyway. I'll quickly pass it. Yeah, M0KPZ Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel.
Yeah, from G0KPZ. Yeah, okay, Dave. I won't say much now because I don't know who's on. I just caught the end of if you're over. So I'll listen until you've been round to everybody, and then I'll have some reports as well, etc. So back to you, Dave. G6NRH G0KPZ.
Yeah, G0KPZ G6NRH. Do apologise, mate. Getting your call sign wrong. Of course, it's a G0KPZ, not a GM. Oh God, what's happening to me? Been one of those days, I think. Yeah, so I'll quickly pass it over to you, Chris, M0KPU. Golf 6, November Romeo Hotel.
Yeah, Roger M0KPU returning. I just made the observation, being a bit controversial here, Dave, that nobody's on that band. That's why you couldn't hear anybody. You're on your own. But anyway, at the risk of being controversial. Yeah, okay then. Well, with that, I'll pass it round to M0NP, but if you could come back with your name. Mike 0, November Papa Bravo. Come back with your name, please.
Thank you, Mike 0, November Papa Bravo here. The name is Nick, November India Charlie Kilo. Yeah, I did both my intermediate and full license with CRAY Valley. Goodness, yeah, long time ago, as I say, being a member must be since 2019, beginning of 2019, something like that. And for one way or another, work and family and all of that kind of stuff, never really did very much with radio, and had a transceiver but didn't have an antenna set up at home and all of that. Anyway, time moves on, and I actually had a meeting with an old friend I hadn't seen for 10 years, who lives out Swindon Way, and he's a member of Newbury and District Amateur Radio Society. And we met up in London just for a beer after 10 years, and I didn't know he was a radio amateur, he didn't know I was a radio amateur, and we found that common interest, and he said, Nick, you've got to come to the Isle of Wight, because we do an Islands on the Air expedition, and he kept nagging me, and anyway, I did go to the Isle of Wight, and that kind of got me thinking, really, I've got the radio, I need to get an antenna up, I've got the license, I need to do something with it. So last week had the week off work, so running coax, and I've got a homemade 2-meter ground plane antenna just up in the loft, but at least a proper coax, and I'm in the garage with the garage has become my shack. So next step, I guess, is some kind of step antenna. I've got not loads of space to do something there, and we'll see. Good to be on the air anyway, and thanks for the responses here. I will pass back around. I believe next on the list from me, Nick. Next on the list, Golf 0 FDP from M0 November Papa Bravo.
Yeah, M0 Mike Papa Bravo down in Lee. Nick, good morning to you, Nick. I'm just wondering whereabouts in Lee you were, whether I'm talking about somebody else or not. The last person I heard from Lee was in Upwood Road, SE12, but I don't know, he may be from a different road, not sure. Anyway, if you're just running an ordinary aerial in and you're in a garage or shack, you're doing quite well there, actual fact. To me, because Lee's not that far away from me, it's about a mile and a half, probably, something like that, 2 miles at the most. You have no problem with, you're 5 or 9 plus 60, to me, no problem at all there. So you're getting out extremely well on that aerial what you're using at the moment, and I presume like what everybody else is using at the moment, it's what they call a white stick. It's a diamond antenna for 270 or 2 and 6 if you want to do it the other way, or 6, 2 and 70. Mind you, it's a bit taller, that antenna, because you're dealing with 6 metres, 2 metres and 77s, and they're pretty good antennas. Whereas I've got the 2 metre and the 77 one on my mast outside the house here, which is 30 foot high. It's got 3 little sticks at the bottom for a ground plane on it, and it works quite well. Gets out quite a long way around the area, so no problem at all with that. So it's a good antenna if you want to get something like that, or if you're going to make a homemade brew one, which some people do these days, make a home brew 2 metre antenna, and they work just well if you make them as they should be made properly and tuned in okay. So you should be okay there, Nick, and it'll be beautiful when you do be able to get one like that. And if you have been down, if you have been down to our club on any occasion, not quite sure, you'll have to introduce yourself so we know who you are. You'll probably find me down there. I won't be sitting down what I usually do when I used to be at the club, I used to be the tea maker, but now that's gone past the fact that I don't actually do the tea anymore. A couple of the other lads do the tea for me. I usually sit by the tea with Peter, who's a G7ULL. He sits normally beside me, so when you do come to the meeting and you see him and me sitting together, because we're a couple of old geezers and not 100% fit. Well, I ain't, and Peter's nowhere near 100% fit. So if you come in and see us, and that's who I am anyway. Okay, there, Nick. Right, and now I'll pass it round to. I'll get the call sign right this time. M0MJF from G0FDP.
Yeah, well, if you could get the call sign right, because it's not MJF, it's M0JCF. But never mind, old man, you and Peter, you just sit there dribbling into your porridge and we'll all be all right. No, it's all right, Frank. You know, I don't stand on convention with that sort of thing, especially on a 2 metre and out on Sunday. You can give me any call sign you like, mate. It don't matter as long as it gets passed round to me. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. I think I might have blown a fuse to me linear amp, so I'm not putting out 30 watts. I'm just putting out 10 watts from the TS-700. And after my last over, where I dropped everything in sight, juggled and messed about. Yeah, so what have I been doing? Well, on the radio, transmitting wise, I've been on 10 and 12 metres CQing. Had quite a good day yesterday, the 31st. I was doing a CQ 12 metres, and the only person who come back was on the Canary Islands. But that's not too bad, you know, it's a fair old hop. But I went to 10 metres, put out a CQ10, and the very first person to come back to me was Paul, 3 Bravo 8 Hotel Echo. He's down in Mauritius, and it's about 4th or 5th time he's answered my CQ call. So it's always nice. And the reason I like that is I'm CQing, and someone in like what would be considered, you know, a DX that everyone wants to pounce on, you know, they're coming back to me, and we had quite a long conversation. And what was even more amusing was he said, well, thanks a lot, I'll let you carry on CQing and catch up with you soon, blah blah blah. As soon as he unkeyed the microphone, the world in his dog, it was a cacophony of people trying to contact him, and he had to let them know that, you know, no, it's not my frequency, it's actually like Mark in England. And with that you sort of get then the crickets chirping and the tumbleweeds coming past. It is always amusing when that happens. Whenever I talk to an island in the Caribbean or something like that, and it is funny, you know, you say your goodbyes and the world in his dog opens up on this poor sod who isn't even on the frequency. But there you go, that's the Mauritius. I think there's only a couple of hams on Mauritius, which is why probably once they started hearing his call sign, they dived on him. Then I had a couple of good chats out of Israel, a few Israelis. One of them actually is an expat out of Birmingham. That would have been Tim. Well, I had a good 40-minute chat with him, you know. He's just north of Tel Aviv, if I remember rightly. And then I'll tell you what, I've had a couple of times this week, and one of them was a reply to my CQ on 10, was Georgia, the state, not the state of Georgia, the country of Georgia, you know, just south of Russia, in between sort of Russia and Turkey, that little group of ex-Soviet Union countries, Georgia. Now, you never hear Georgia, but I've actually worked that country twice this week on 10 metres. One of them was Vaho. He was actually CQing, but as I say, yesterday's one was Amari. He came back to me for Lima 5 Oscar. So it's always nice when these little countries and islands come back to me. It gives me great pleasure. And once again, once we'd finished, Europe dived on him, but he'd obviously moved off, and I carried on CQing. I've had a few in the USA today, so it looks like propagation is shifting towards the Northern Hemisphere on 10 and 12 metres. I had George, who was in Rhode Island. He came back to my CQ call. I had David. I think David was in Ohio, but I had a really nice long conversation with actually no, David might have been in Florida, and yeah, I had a good 30-minute chat with him, because last year I was over there in Florida at Madeira Beach or nearby, and he was in between Sarasota and Clearwater, so he was sort of in the area that I had my holiday in last year. So we had a good old chat about that. And once again, it's always nice, you know, you dive into these states, countries, whatever, and you can have a conversation beyond amateur radio, and it turns into a nice old rag chew. Puerto Rico on 10 metres, plenty of Brazilians on 10 metres, had a couple of Indonesians on 10 metres this week. You know, it goes on. So that's been my HF. My TS-800S that I repaired 2 weeks ago actually went pop on Friday. Exactly the same problem. Power dropped from about 120 watts to 20 watts, and the symptoms are exactly as the same as the last time, where what happened is the high tension voltage has dropped from 900 volts to 150 volts, so it looks like another capacitor's gone in the power supply. Now when I repaired it last time, I only replaced the one capacitor that was open circuit, so either that capacitor's gone again because I used a second-hand one out of another old hybrid, or the other capacitor went, you know, maybe there was too much stress after I put a better one in. It now stressed the other one, but that'll have to come apart. And of course, the other thing I've been working on this week was Dave's Fox Tango 101 Echo. It's like all these old transceivers, valve and hybrids especially, you sort of work on it and then it either creates another fault or it highlights a lesser fault, but because your fault you fixed has gone, now that fault comes to the front. So I've had a few. One of them is it being a couple of kilohertz off frequency between transmit and receive, so I'll have to get into the VFO and have an adjustment there. One thing I have had is a quick test on top band AM, and it was a test in as much as I was transmitting, but DAV M0 WDV was receiving me. So what he did is he did recordings of me, and the AM on top band seemed quite acceptable. Of course, tomorrow night is the AM top band net for anyone who's joining, and I'd like to use this radio on it on both lower sideband and AM. Now, because I haven't adjusted the difference between transmit receive, it could be hit and miss whether especially the LSB I'll get it to work. So I was trying to do a pre-test on that, but you know, it's looking promising. The power output is all over the place. On 40 meters I can see 140 150 watts. On 10 meters I can only see 20 watts. On top band I can only see about 20-30 watts. So once again, I think it's just a case of the radio sat there for a while. It probably needs an alignment, a fettle, possibly some dry joints and that. They have got plug-in boards as well, as I recall. So yeah, I'm going to start cleaning everything in sight with contact cleaner. I don't think I've got anything else to say. I think I've had a nice long over. I've had a good old rabbit, and was it Nick? Yeah, Nick, Mike 0 November Papa Bravo. Yeah, you would have been on the same course as me, Nick, in winter of 2019 when we all did that course down at CRAY Valley. I was sitting at the front on the right hand side. If you was looking from the back of the hall, I was front right hand side. That was me sitting next to the Irishman whose name evades me now, but he passed as well. So that gives you an idea of who I am and where I was, if you can remember the actual course as we were sitting down, as we were laid out. And that's it. So I'll hand it round to I think I'm handing it round to, I'm not sure if it's Dave or if I'm handing it round to, no, it must be Dave, because Dave NRH, that is, because Dave KPZ had an over, didn't he? So I think, yeah, that's about it. And if I don't come back for me next over, it's A, because I've worn myself out talking on this over, and B, because my wife did say that she'd be coming down in a few minutes to grab me, so we got to take the dog walking. So you know, if I do come back, I don't want to be rude and just jump in. I'll say a preliminary goodbye, but if I'm still here, I'll retract that. And round to you, Dave. G6NRH from the Rabbit in Bloke, M0 JCF.
Can I go back to Mark, Dave?
Go on, mate.
Yeah, good morning, Mark. I was making some notes. That frequency difference between TX and RX, I was reading up after you told me about it, appears to be quite common. And I even found a YouTube video showing the standard fix to it. I can send you that YouTube link if you like. It seems to be a common problem. And yeah, one thing I hate with all of those FT101s is the plug-in boards. They used to do that with loads of Jap stuff, didn't they? On hi-fi amps as well, and they were always a problem. And I also wondered whether you got the mic swap done with Guy. Guy sent me a quick email, I think it was yesterday, saying he'd sorted the dry joint problem in the FT101 ZD that he got off me. Then he had a capacitor explode, so he's got to recap it, but he says it's working absolutely 100% now. So those rigs are pretty solid when you get them going. So I don't know if that's any use to you. With me, that's why they put clarifiers in those old rigs, because of the change. So maybe when you're on the 160, as long as you know your difference between, as long as it's not varying, and as long as you know the difference between your TX and your RX, you could just set your clarifier for tomorrow night. So I just want to go back to you, if it's all right, Dave. I want to go back to Mark and just check that he heard what I said and whether he's okay. Well, any of that's any use to him. So M0. Let me try and get it right for you. M0 JCF from G0KPZ.
Sorry, the ham you are trying to contact has now gone dog walking. He is no longer available. No, thanks for that. No, I'll tell you what, I was going to do the same as you. When I got round to it, I was going to do some you know, common faults on the 101E type of thing. So yeah, I'd really like that. That'd save me doing the search. That'd be fantastic. I did suspect that it would just be a very simple alignment problem, but because of the plug-in boards and that, what I'm always wary of is, as you say, you pull these boards out, you push them back in. What I was going to do is remove the boards, give them a incredibly light wipe over with the finest wet and dry that I've got, and also spray the slots and all the switches with contact cleaner, and then insert and remove the boards a couple of times. But what I don't want to do is, like I was saying, you know, I have touched it a couple of times and I seem to be, or maybe it's just perception, creating a few more faults. You're quite right about the clarifier. This is why the other day I asked on the WhatsApp, you know, can somebody get on top band? And what I wanted to do was I wanted to set my transmit up and then use the clarifier to bring my receive in, then leave everything alone until tomorrow night, so I've got a starting point. That'd be great. I have got a 101 without any letters on the end that I'm restoring, and Guy gave me a broken, I think it might even be a 101E, and he gave me a broken one, had the power supply and that removed. And he basically said to me, you can have all the parts. So what I've done is I've removed all the boards. So I've possibly got some extra boards anyway. He did suggest as well it could be a trimmer in the VFO. For the you know, for the difference. So it'll be very interesting if it's a stock fault and you can show me the stock fix. That would be very interesting indeed, and it'd be lovely because you know what I did, Dave, as well, I took that plastic wrapper off the front. It was annoying me. It really was annoying me, so I took it off, and underneath it's a pristine, like 50-year-old fascia. It's lovely. It's really, really lovely to look at. I think that's about it. There was one other thing that you mentioned. No, I won't hold it. I won't hold it because it wouldn't be fair. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, just email me, and it'd be great to get this on the air. And oh, that was it. Sorry. Guy did message me about the microphones as well. We're going to swap it. There was no rush. I had got another Yaesu high impedance microphone, so there was no rush. We're going to swap when we see each other, because I've got a box of valves for him as well, TV valves, the PL valves. So what I'll do is we'll do that swap then, and he was in no rush to get the low impedance one back. So that's it. But yeah, thanks for all of that. G6 NRH M0 JCF in the group. Cheers, and back to you, Dave.
Yeah, M0 JCF G6 NRH returning in the crazy 2 metre net. Yeah, all copied there. Yeah, and you've got the same problem I've got with mine, but I've got the what is it, the FT101B, which is the white switch model instead of the nice black ones. But that drifts. It's a very simple remedy to sort out when the actual getting. Mind you, I've got an FT101B oscillator. I've got a separate VFO, so I can actually switch between the two. So I've got an external VFO and then the other VFO when I first bought the radio. So I know that I've got problems, and I keep putting it off. I should really open it all up and sort bits out. It really means taking it downstairs, because at the moment it's just too tight up in the shack to actually do any work on it. But just whip it off and sort it out. Apparently there's just a few connections that you have to check. You check the voltages between where the part of the cover is near the top end. If you turn the radio up, there's there, and you check that, and then check the trimmer and trim that up. Then you do exactly the same thing around the front of the radio, and you trim that one as well, and that marries it up, so the transmit and receive is exactly the same. Guy did say there's other ways of doing it, where you get a separate radio and you just tweak it about until you get, you sort of like you can get the exact sound coming out from the other one, and you get a lovely beat tone coming through and doing it that way. But I will get round to doing it, but because I've got the other VFO, I've been spoilt really, so I just haven't bothered. Because they're not the lightest of radios, but they're pretty good. I love them. But as you say, really, I mean, the best thing is to take all the boards out, give them a good clean, and put everything back, and just hopefully sort things out. I mean, I'd love to be able to use this on top band. The only problem is, I think the crystals seem to be, or I think it might be the wafers and the selector is a bit iffy, because it just doesn't recognise anything. So there's definitely something wrong somewhere. But anyway, we'll have to see how it goes. Radio-wise, as I say, I haven't really done a lot. As I mainly do a bit of playing about with the SDR receivers, and generally sorting other bits and pieces out, and trying to rectify a damaged shotgun which I dropped when I went shooting on Saturday. Well, God, I can't believe it. I think it's because I stopped to get a bread pudding from the catering van, and left the gun on the side, and it slipped. Without me realising, I looked down, there was the gun on the floor, which, thank God the barrel hasn't been damaged, but it damaged the fore end. So, oh well, it's my stupid fault. Anyway, I'm just waffling on as usual, so it should really go now to Chris. M0KPU, this is Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel in the group. Over to you, Chris.
Yeah, roger there, Dave. Yeah, well, good luck with the gun. That's one of those horrible moments. I actually did the same thing with a very expensive fly fishing rod once. I had a couple of rod inside the car. I think it was Lightning, and it was a carbon rod, and so I thought, I don't want that in my hand, so I lobbed it in the back of the car, and that one. But there you go. So good luck with that. Round to 101s. Yeah, I've got a 101 ZD that needs the attention of something. I also have the external BFO date, so I've got one of those in the shack there, but I'm not strong enough to lift it anymore, so that'll probably just sit here till I take it down the dump or something. It's not going to get picked up, it's too heavy for me, and I'll drop the down thing. I'm still getting stuff together for next weekend. Finding more and more things. I'm now around the big cable ties just in case the mast needs holding up, etc., etc. But so just really getting ready for that. So there we go. Sorry if you can't hear me too well, Dave. I'm getting you 5 and 9 end stop. So I don't know what's going wrong there. But there we go. That's that. So I'll pass it round to G0KPZ Dave from M0KPE.
Yeah, from G0KPZ, yeah. What am I doing here? Going nuts. Yeah, okay. I've just had radio over, but what I'll do is I'll just give reports. Everybody's 5'9". Mark was about 5'7", but really nice audio on it. So the S meeting made pretty much no difference from that point of view. So I'm going to put it back to you, Dave, because I don't know where it's going next. But good morning to everybody else anyway. G6NRH, G0KPZ.
G0KPZ, G6NRH, all copied there, Dave. I do apologise, Chris, you can't believe, I've just turned the volume up for you, and you came over 5 and 9, and because the display's not that brilliant, I've only got this Anytone here. But you suddenly shot up, and then went straight on to David, and then he blew my ears out. So there was a slight difference somewhere. But I'm going to say that you're 5 and 9. I did say you were 5 and 6, but you've definitely gone up in my world, right? What I was going to say, I suppose I really should give some reports. You're all, as I say, you're all 5 and 9. The strongest is, I think, of course, is Frank. It's a toss-up between Frank and David, to be perfectly honest. You're really strong signals. And of course, Mark. I mean, as I say, I could spit most probably his house from here, but it's nice to hear everybody. And I think more people should go on 4 meters. And God, then I wouldn't sit there talking to myself all day on a Friday, but never mind. We've all got other things we got to do, and I suppose radio becomes secondary, let's be honest. And I don't know if I'll be going to the field day event. I'll have to think about that. I think I might have something planned. But it's next week, so there's no shooting next week, so I could actually do it, which would be a first. Anyway, while I'm pondering over and thinking, I'll quickly pass it over to I'll pass it over to you, Nick. M0 NPB Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel in the group.
50 NPB, thank you. I think it was Frank asking me where I am in Lee. I'm in Pitfold Road in Lee, so just a little bit higher. You mentioned Upwood Road, you mentioned you lived in Micklediva Road. Pitfold Road is just up parallel with the South Circular, so it's just a tiny bit higher, which has got to be a good thing for radio. But you said you used to live in a townhouse in Micklediva Road. When I lived in this house for about 20 years, but I remember when I was looking for somewhere to live, I looked at one of those townhouses in Micklediva Road, so who knows, we could have been neighbours, but that's not how it turned out. But now I've just got to get some antennas up here. Who knows, maybe put something up for 4 metres. As actually asked this question to the group. I never worked 4 meters. What modes do you work for the net on 4 meters? Excuse me, coughing away, and vertical, horizontal, all new to me. So any wisdom and advice gratefully received on that. In terms of signal reports, I'm getting everyone apart from, I think it's Mark, M0JCF. That's the kind of 2 and 1 I'm getting from M0JCF. So I'm getting occasional words there, but very low signal. Everyone else hearing perfectly clearly, and signals 8, 9, 9 plus. So all good here in Lee, but I'm not catching, I'm afraid, everything that M0JCF is saying. Frank, I remember you making tea while I was doing the course and exam at the club, and I have been to the odd meeting, but not for quite a long while. The challenge of getting away from work in London down to Eltham, but I do hope to get to some more meetings, and I'll certainly make sure to introduce myself. Interesting subjects that come up at the club meetings, and good to be there, and good to be sharing the knowledge and learning from other people. So I do hope to be there. But yeah, next thing for me is going to be putting up some HF antennas. So I don't know, might start doing something on 40 meters is my idea at the moment, just to put up a simple wire antenna and then build from there. But simple steps, one step at a time. That's probably enough waffling from me, so I'll hand over to Frank, which I think is Golf 0 Foxtrot Delta Papa, from Nick, Mike 0 November Papa Bravo.
Yep, okay, Nick, M0 Mike Papa Bravo from G0 Foxtrot Delta Papa in Eltham now. Yep, well, when I moved from Lee to Eltham, all I had was the vertical for 2 meters at the time, but I wasn't on HF. But now I have actual fact purchased myself a G5RV. It all depends now with the G5RV whether you've got the room to put one in. You can either get the half size one, which is pretty good. It does 20, 40 and 80. You can tune it in with a good tuner, but the full size one is obviously better, because then it will tune in a little bit better on the other bands, especially when you get up to 18 and 21 and that sort of thing. Not very good on 10 metres low, the G5RV isn't. Well, my one isn't. So what I'll actually do is buy a antenna just for 10 metres, which is a CB antenna, but I've trimmed it down to 28 megs for the 10 metre band. So that's what I've done with that. You can get 10 metres on the half size, a lot easier on the half size, but on full size it's not too easy to do that. And mind you, see, with the full size you need a lot of room. It's over 100 foot long, and one end of my G5RV is drooped down about 7 or 8 feet, one end, and at the other end it's drooped down about 6 or 7 feet the other end, which makes it the length from one end to the other. It does work well. Mine's north to south. Sometimes it all depends on which direction you've got to put it. Depends on where your house is, whether you've got it left, east or west, or northwest to southwest, or so forth. But mine's sort of north to south, and it gets out pretty well on that, and that's not too much of a problem. I've worked quite good stations on it back in the time when I have actually used it. I don't use it quite so much at the moment, but I have worked. It all depends on what time of the day you use it, what sort of band you use at the time of the day. The longest distance I got on my G5RV was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and it was on 40 metres with Tasmania. So it does work if you get the right times and the right antenna for the right distance and that, and the right frequency to get it on, and it works quite well. But as you know, conditions now don't seem to, well, they've been getting up a lot better now. 10 metres it seems to be working quite well now, but when I first got on the amateur side, the HF was really buzzing. It could work pretty well everywhere, and just over the years it's probably dropped down, come up, dropped down, and I think it's beginning to come back up again now, especially on the higher bands, like the 20, the 10 metres and that sort of area. So at least you're getting a good signal out and getting a good copy from somebody long way away. Like I used to work stateside, mostly the eastern side of the states on my GVRV, and that's only running 100 watts. Not got no actually amplifier, just 100 watts on the radio itself, and it does work quite well. Mind you, height does help as well, so that will make a great difference. If my G5RV was another 10 foot higher, it'll probably be even better to get out as well on that one. But I have to be careful now. When you live around a lot of houses, they think, hello, what's he got over there? And then you start making things different, and they sort of wonder what's going on. But mine's been there for some time now, and a lot of people don't even notice it, because with the G5RV, it's just a long wire really with a connection down the centre to the radio. So to them, all they think it might be the telephone wire, but there we are. That's what I've got there. Like, if I do use it, I use 100 watts. Like tomorrow, I'm going to try and tune in, because it will tune in, but not perfect. Let's put it this way, not perfect. It will tune in on top band, on 160 metres, but as you know, with 160 metres, you're only allowed to use 35 watts. That's the maximum power you can use on that. But if I put 35 watts on the radio and then tune it in, I'll probably get about half of that, 15, 20 watts coming out the antenna, because there's a lot of losses because the antenna doesn't tune in perfectly on top band. And we have done it a few times, but I've been on it for a little while lately, so at least I'll have another go tomorrow, see how they get on. Right, with that, I must say, if Mark's not listening now, because his wife said, come here you, we're going out for a walk. Well, we went down to the Jolly Fenman the other day, and had a nice meal down there, because of my birthday. There we are, that's how it all worked out. Very good. And Mark's not far from there, so everybody I can receive here is a 5 and 9 plus 60. All good signals with me, no problem at all. And I'm running 20 watts on this this Icon ICM Mark 2G. I'm running 20 watts at the moment. Right, with that, I can't give it to Mark, because he's obviously walkie. You got your handheld with you, Mark? If you have, answer me, but if not, we'll pass it round to, who was it after me? Well, it would have been you, but then it was KPZ, but KPZ's gone up to number 2 on the list, so I seem to be the last one on the list at the moment.
Pass it
so
to me.
I'll bring back to you, Dave, G6NRH.
I'm still here.
Hey, over to you, Dave.
I'm still here.
Oh, you're still there then? All right, Mark. Come on then, have another go. Over to you, MJ. Right, MJF. Yeah, that's a really right that time, right, Mark?
Mike 1 Tango Alpha Delta.
Oh, you got no one there. You got Trevor.
You are now to the bottom of the list, mate. Well, I'm a bit late, mate, on parade, but never mind. Nice to hear you. With that, quickly pass it back to Mark, if he's still there. M0JCF, Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel.
Yeah, thanks for that. M0JCF, Frank, JCF. It's all right, mate. Don't worry about it. JCF, M0JCF. But anyway, a couple of things. Apart from me call sign being everything but, I fixed me linear amplifier power supply. It was a broken wire. So Nick, yeah, I got you. You got me something like a 2-in-1. Nick, you're coming up 5 and 2, 5 and 3 to me. I don't know if now going from 10 to 30 watts has made any difference. It's probably due to terrain. And what I was trying to say last time as well was I was on the same course as you in 2019. And if you was looking from the back of the hall, I was at the front to the right hand side. There you go. And yes, so that was that. It's not 35 watts, Frank, it's 32 watts. Not that probably makes any difference whatsoever, especially as like you, I've got losses in my system as well, and an inefficient antenna, etc. for top band. And yeah, so that's that. Signal reports, everyone's 5 and 9 plus, as you would imagine, except I think it's Chris, KPU, M0 KPU. You're just a 5 and 3 to me. But there you go. It is what it is. I don't think we get hung up on reports. Yeah, Frank, sorry, I was making a joke on my last over about not being here, that I've gone walking. I was doing the old-fashioned telephone message when you dialed the wrong number, but it obviously went over your head, mate, so don't worry about that. Happy birthday for yesterday, actually. I don't know if anyone else managed to wish that. I heard you mention it a couple of times, and I thought to myself, well, I haven't said it, so happy birthday for yesterday. I think that's it. I know Trevor wants to dive in and probably wants to have a bit of an over. And what I will do is I'll make this my final, because it's now 5-2. Yeah, my wife hasn't come down yet to drag me out, so I wish everyone best 73. Great talking to you. Thanks for letting me rabbit on the way that I have, as I always do, because it's what we all do, isn't it? Well, some of us do. Some of us sit in front of a keyboard and send weird tones to each other and get their 5 and 9 kicks that way. But all that political nonsense over, I'll say have a great Sunday, and it's the first day of meteorological autumn, so the equinox is coming and all the propagation will be shifting northern hemisphere, and hopefully I can get the last 8 states that I need in the United States. As I say, it's been picking up. I've grabbed a few USA stations on 10 metres this week, so it's definitely switching back this side of the equator. G6 NRH M0 JCF. This is my final. Cheers, everyone. Bye for now.
M0 JCF G6 NRH with a very slight cough. Do apologise, Trevor. Anyway, over to you. M1 TAD Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel.
G6 NRH Mike 1 Tango Alpha Delta returning in the group. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you wouldn't believe why. Obviously, I'm in the shack doing pottering around, and I've left the radio on supposedly for the net, and I had it on 144 350, and I'm thinking to myself, I looked at my watch, I thought 22. I mean, they must have started the net by now. Then I realised what I'd done. So apologies for not being on the air. But I have been listening to the net while you've been going. And obviously, Dave, you're 40 plus. Dave Dave KPZ, he's 40 plus. Chris KPU, you're 5 and 7. Frank, you're 5 and 8. These are all true ones to the door. Nick, you're 5 and 3 with me. Busted signal, as I said, you know, no problems at all reading you. You're 5 and 3. Obviously, JCF, you're 5 and 8. And I've got Daz down here, but I don't think I've heard Daz anyway. But no, that's fine. All right, guys. Yeah, as I said, it's I've been off the air really since before the first COVID. Coax cables all cut and damaged, and foxes chewing this and that. So it's only this week that I've finally got the coaxes up to the shack, and now I need to pull the old ones out and then and start connecting up the new ones. So this is the collinear. This is the X50 on the chimney stack that I'm talking to everyone on at the moment. The Yagi is, as I say, is up there, but obviously not connected into the system yet. So. You know, hopefully, I'm trying. I was trying to get it all ready for the UK ACs, but I don't think I'm going to quite make it. Anyway, thanks for letting me in, as I said. So I'll pass it back to you, Dave, NRH, to do your necessary. As I say, it's obviously getting near the witching hour, so my apologies for being late, but I'll try and be early on Friday for the 4 metre net, and then hopefully again. Oh no, I won't be on the Saturday, on the Sunday. We got a family dinner, so I won't be at the field day either. Anyway, back to you, Dave. G6 NRH. This is Mike 1 Tango Alpha Delta in the group.
Mike 1 Tango Alpha Delta Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel returning. Yeah, all copies there, Trevor. By the way, you're 5 and 9 plus whatever. I mean, you're such a strong signal, mate. I mean, it's fantastic, and it's nice to hear you anytime. God, you should have heard me on Friday. I mean, trying on 4 meters, it was like walking on the moon. Actually, nobody there, nobody came up. Was on the air for 20 minutes trying to get people CQing and everything else, but nothing. So I gave up after. So, you know, I know we've all got other interests, but oh dear, it's quite frustrating. And also with this academy thing, which is a bit of a pain, the CW academy that we've joined, I think NOW's joined it, and I've done it as well, but he's gone into the intermediate class and I'm in the beginner's class. And eventually, when I get this Zoom thing sorted out, then I might be able to actually contribute, but it's been a nightmare so far. But anyway, Gary's supposed to get in touch with me today so we can play about with the computer and sort things out at my end. So it's all on the up, put it this way. Well, I'm waffling away and it's nearly... well, it's coming up to the witching hour. So what I'll do is I'll say 7-3 to everybody, but I'll just leave it open for a little while just to see if there's last comments before I close the net down. This is Golf 6 November Romeo Hotel, standing by.
0 okay, you 7-3 guys. Catch you further along. Won't be on the call here now on Friday with Dave on his own. 7-3.
Well, let's try, mate. Let's try. Thank you. Really appreciate that, G6NRH. With that, if there's no other replies, I shall now close the net down at 11 o'clock. This is Golf 6, November Romeo Hotel, in the 2 metre CRAY Valley, net now closing down. I'll say 7-3 to everybody. It's been a fantastic net, and thank you for all that have joined, and hopefully catch you all again next Sunday. Or hopefully get you tomorrow on the top band net. We see how we go. This is Golf 6, November Romeo Hotel, and they're definitely going QRT. Da-di-da.
Cheers, Dave.
Yep, cheers, Dave. 5 and 9, da-di-da. Well, that's not my age. My age is 85. Okay, 75, Dave.
7-3's all.
Happy birthday, Frank. 7-3's all. Mike 0, November, Papa Bravo.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Happy birthday, Frank. I do apologise, mate. I should have said it earlier. G6NRH.